Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you guys another review for Black Clover chapter 325. And now that chapter 325 is done in the books, man, we got a lot to talk about. And this was a very short chapter. However, the thing that this chapter really had going for it was the fact that while it was short, it was not low on intensity. It was not low on keeping the stakes being raised. And that moment when Yuno has to think to himself, who am I going to save between Asta and Yami? Which one do I bet on? I like how it was a twofold thing. Number one, he's betting on Yami to be able to strike that blow that's needed to bring down Lucifero. However, the other thing too is that he's also in a situation where he's betting on Asta being able to take care of himself. And that's so beautiful to see the relationship continue to come full circle, because Yuno, every single time that he's been forced to have to kind of bet on Asta to be able to take care of himself, he's always known that when push comes to shove, that boy who has this very sneaky habit of being able to make the impossible possible, that boy who wanted to become a magic knight despite not having any magic at all, he was going to find a way to pull himself up by the bootstraps and get himself in a situation where he could take care of himself and he didn't need Yuno holding his hand. And I like that bit right there. And it's also something that shows a bit of a strategic side of Yuno as well. It's kind of showing that he's ready to become a captain, because it's one of those things where he was able to put his own friendship with Asta aside. I believe that even if Asta didn't give the best chance if they were in that situation and he had to choose between saving Asta and saving the person that might give them the best opportunity to defeat Lucifero, he would take care of the victory first and not go towards those emotional bonds. And as a leader, that's one thing you do have to kind of keep a couple of degrees of separation between yourself and any subordinates that you have. So this was a nice moment right here just to see that payoff on that. Now, I got to back up for a little bit and let's look at how the chapter opens up. So it picks up exactly where the last one left off, where last time we saw Lucifero, he's basically telling Yami and Nacht and Asta and Yuno, like, prepare yourselves, I acknowledge you, I'm about to whoop your asses. Well, in this one we see exactly what's going on, because Yami and Nacht, they both start saying let's go for it. Asta and Yuno, they get ready to start charging forward. You see how they got the children's playground, that combination attack between Yami and Nacht. You see how Lucifero is completely on guard here. And as they begin the battle, you get this huge explosion. And that's when you find out that Lucifero has destroyed all of their magic. And Nacht is looking at all this and he's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? The speech bubble just having the dots on there and the exclamation point with him being completely breathless and stunned. I love it right there. Very nice just to get his reaction on that. And I like how the thought process is like, we're really dealing with the strongest devil. It was always something that we knew and that they knew as characters, but we're really seeing just how much Lucifero has low-key been restraining himself, even at 50% manifestation right now. And when Lucifero begins the process of really ramping things up, Yami's the one that's got the hard on. Yami's like, the king of the devils here. Let's get ready to finish this before he completely goes all out on us. And what I like here is that Yami is able to reinvigorate the fighting spirit of Nacht. And you see how Asta and Yuno, they just start charging forward at this point here. And as Asta begins the process of charging forward, that's when Asta has this moment. He's talking to Libe, and we get that moment that I've been waiting for, which is to see the whole Licta plot device brought back in. And it kind of just shows that Tabata did not forget about this, because you have Asta saying, I've got to use the Devil Union mode now. We got 2 minutes left. Let's go ahead and do this, Libe. Let's go ahead and finish this. And Libe tells him yes. And then he thinks to himself, here and now, I'll avenge Licta's death. I stand by it. We are going to see Asta get the revelation what happened with his mother. Now, I had a few people reach out to me on Instagram, and I had a few people in the comment section last time, and a few people DM me on Twitter saying, why are you saying that Asta is Licta's child? Go back and look at the manga, I believe in chapter 290. That's when Libe literally says, you really are Licta's kid. He's thinking it to himself. That's an open plot point that's eventually going to be dealt with. It's very similar to how Kishimoto and Naruto, right before Jiraiya left, revealed that Minato was Naruto's father and casually name drop Kushina being Naruto's mother. It's one of those things where it's gonna come back up. And I think that just as both of Naruto's parents played a role in Naruto regaining some calm and clarity, and in the case of Kushina helping him get a power up, I think that this is going to be something that happens with Asta and Libe, simply for the fact that we've never seen a devil union this type of a magnitude with these types of rules. So I do think that that is something that is going to be incoming, especially if Asta ends up coming short. Now, what I like here is that when Asta goes into the devil union mode, first and foremost, that paneling is so nice, man. Like, I like the contrast that we see where Asta, he's got the majority of the actual page spread here. You see how the outside frame of the manga panel, just on that one half, is just covered up with the magic, and it's just flowing, and the way that it's flowing from his sword and kind of going in that L-shaped pattern, and you see how it kind of bleeds into the black text of the devil union stuff. That's very nice right there. That's a very good use of just utilizing every square inch of that panel we have here. And what I like here is that Nacht immediately is like, wait a second, magic, the anti-magic is overflowing, it's leaking out of him. We can't use the kid's playground like this. And as this begins to happen, you get the demon slash or infinite slash, and Lucifero, in that moment, Lucifero, he's just looking for a second, and that man's already calculated his next step, and he tells Asta, you might be the most dangerous one here, but you're the one that's going to be the easiest to kill. And I think some of that comes down to the fact that Asta, he's got some strategy in him, but at the same time, Asta can be taken advantage of when you look at it from that perspective. He's a brawler type, so it's one of those things where if you get him in a vulnerable situation, if you can outmuscle him, which that's saying a lot, because he's a pint-sized dwarf who's a walking tank, so it is one of those things where you need a lot of muscle, but this is the king of the devils. So I like how Lucifero begins the process of trying to take out Asta, and that's when Yami comes in like the GOAT, completely clutch. And in that moment right there, as Yami attempts to try and hold off Lucifero, we have this moment where Yami realizes, I can't cut him, not like I did before. So we're seeing some limitations to William Vonges' sword. And in that moment, Yami is given a huge blow. Yami is now down an arm. And what I like here also is that as Yami gets hit with this attack, Yuno is able to use his star magic to try and help out. And you get that scene where Yami looks over at Yuno and says, you got 2 grimoires now, you pretty fancy, kid. And I like how he even goes as far as to call him a handsome bastard. And what I like here is that in that moment, you have Nacht, and Nacht is making the very, very calculated decision, saying, as it stands, Yami and Asta are the only ones that can defeat Lucifero, but how much more can Yami manage with only one arm? And you have Yuno come to the same calculation of saying, I can't follow Asta with my star magic. On top of that, I haven't fully recovered yet. Yami or Asta, which one do I save? Who do we bet on? And it's one of those things where one of them is going to be the key. And I like how, again, they come to the realization that it's got to be Yami, because when you have dark magic and then you have world tree magic, that should be enough to potentially find a way to defeat Lucifero. I think that that's your best bet, not the anti-magic. However, it does look like that's going to be a bit of a red herring, because if Yuno is betting on Yami and Lucifero has already deemed Asta as being the more dangerous person that needs to be taken out right there on the battlefield, it kind of feels like Yami's going to come up short and Asta's going to be the one that defies the odds. And I like how this whole battle's going on. You got that other Supreme Devil that is completely manifested, just sitting there watching everything take place. He hasn't moved an inch, and I still have my radar on. I think that this is going to be like a Gin Ichimaru or a Black Zetsu type situation, where this is the betrayal that is clearly getting ready to happen. And I like how when Nacht is getting bullied by Lucifero, we get that beautiful moment where Yuno is now getting into the battle, and Yuno basically says he's going to place his bets on Captain Yami, and Lucifero ends off the chapter basically saying, if you're coming from the left or the right, it doesn't matter. I'm going to kill you regardless. And that's where it ends off. Like I said, this was a short chapter. This is what, maybe 10, 11 pages. But the thing about this is that It was not short on stakes. It was action packed all the way throughout it. It left us with the cliffhanger. I can't wait to see where this is going from. So what I want to know from you guys is, when it comes to Asta and Yami, who do you think's gonna be the one that gets that final strike and blow on Lucifero? Let me know down in the comment section below. So always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.